Hey Instagram. Alright, so this is my fifth live. Alright, so tonight I am going to talk about seasons. And we all know that there are four seasons in each year, right? Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And with each season, there is something that we have to experience. So for each season has its own climate, um, its own temperatures, everything that goes with it. And just like how we have the seasons of each year, each person goes through a particular season. Now, when we look at spring, spring is where new life or new growth begins. That's when we are coming out of winter, and if you're in a snow country, the snow starts to melt, and that's when you start seeing the grass again. The grass gets greener. You start seeing more greenery than anything else, right? And for some people, in your spring era, that's when you have new growth. That's when you have new birth of some abilities. Sometimes if you're a Christian, that's when God is taking you to a new dimension. That's when he's taking you to new places. That's where you now start afresh. That's when he starts using you to do some new things. And in the spring season, it can become we can become terrified of the spring season because it's new. We're not used to it. In If you're in an organization like I am, right? It's new, it's fairly new, and you get excited, right? You get excited about spring, and sometimes you miss out on what it is that you're supposed to do, right? You miss out on the feelings because it's new, right? And then we have the second season that right after spring it goes into summer. For me, I absolutely love summer because what? Summer is the reaping season. So for spring, you would have entered spring and you would do your planting, right? You do your planting. That's when the farmers plant, right? Now when summer comes, that's when they start to reap. Now if you do no work in spring, you will not be able to reap in summer. There will be absolutely nothing for you to reap in summer. So whether it's your Christian life, whether it's your organization, whether it's your business, whether it's your family, if you do not plant anything in the spring season when it's new, and I always get relationship questions from persons, right? I always hear them talking about stuff that happens later down the line when, as I spoke in my life this morning when I talk about foundation, if you do not have a solid foundation, if you do not plant any good seed in the first part, in the spring season, when it comes to summer, you would not be able to reap anything, right? Just like the wheat and the tares, right? You you have wheat and you have tares, and you're going to reap wheat and tares, and you have to separate them. So if it's tares that you're sowing in your spring season, that's what you're going to reap in your summer season. And then after summer, it goes into autumn. Now autumn is where, or you can call it fall. Autumn is where the leaves fall off the tree. That's when you're going into a new dimension. That's when you're going to another level, or it's a transition process. So after you have started reaping, you have to prepare the soil again, right? You have to prepare the soil again for planting. You have to reap, and you have to know. I normally see farmers, they like cut stuff. They might, if whenever the trees are not bearing, they might trim the trees, prune the trees. That's your pruning season. That's when you go through your pruning. And pruning is not something that's comfortable. So now you have gotten to a stage now where you are uncomfortable. So you have now entered the pruning stages. And to be pruned mean that you are prepared for more, for better. And sometimes you have to go through some rigid stuff before better can come. And then after you have gone through the pruning stages now, then it comes winter. Winter is when everything is still. When you're going through your pruning stages, life might be still. You might be putting in work, or you might be investing, you might be planting, and you're not seeing any success, because winter stage is where everything is lifeless, is where it's still. No growth takes place in winter, and it's cold. Sometimes you might feel like you're alone, but guess what? Stay the course, because spring is coming again. That's when new life begins, as I mentioned earlier. you'll start to grow again. So guys, whatever season you are in, stay the course, embrace your season. If it's a case where you're in winter and you feel like nothing is happening, if you feel still, if you feel like it's lifeless and it's cold, remember the next season is spring. That's when everything that's happening, it will change to greener, to better. So stay your course, embrace your season, because life only gets better. It only gets better. Each season has its own temperatures. Each season has its own climate. Each season has its own difficulties, its own masteries, and you have to go through your own season in order to get to the next level. So if you have not completed a season, if you find yourself stuck, you feel like you're not getting to the next level, that's because you have not embraced that season fully, or you have not understood that season. You cannot get to the next level without completing the level that you're at. Just like in video games, you play the game, and if you have not mastered the level, if you have not completed the level, you will not get to the next level. So you have to embrace your season, you have to master that season, and then you will get to the next level. I encourage every single one of you, embrace your season. It's not the end, and even if you die in that season, that would mean that you would have mastered that season, and that's just the end. You are not supposed to get to the next season. So guys, as I said, embrace your season. Have a blessed night.